All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Monday afternoon, June 12th. Great to see Grant back with us here inside our live trading room, as well as Warren, who had just called out Carvana just a moment ago. Great to have John with us here, Brian still with us, Thomas, and all of us just joining us on top. Great to have all of our students and members alike inside our live trading room. Great to have all of us back on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works. I mean, hey, Carvana, we ended up killing it on this trade back from Thursday last week and ended up completely dumping off, though, just to wrap it up on Friday. So, you're not really banking on this to make another solid move back up. You are following it because of the volatility. This stock easily was on our side list here going into the market open today, but lo and behold, ended up making a really nice pop just afterwards. Good slingshot, pulled back, ended up just down to 1850, then made the slingshot back up, and then the higher low even after. So, this stock has been in play throughout most of the day today. Throughout the afternoon, I was calling out just a couple of levels, $20.80. Just a lot of prospective buying off that price. So the more times it nips it, I was led to believe it's going to run. So it had a hard time doing it up until just now, where it broke above that as well as 21. But even now, we got to see this hold higher lows from here. I would have thought it would have made a better move already at this point. So it's up 9+%. Definitely put this on our main list to begin, but it really now seems as if 21 is the breaking point here. I don't want to keep pushing the goalposts on this type of trade, but hey, a whole number like 21 should be a big level. We just saw a lot of prospective buying off 2080, so I thought that was just the better price initially. So now it's 21. We'll see if this makes the better move going into the afternoon at least. We had the CVNA trade. We had IFBD. We also had another cheapy AUUD. So let's go over those at least next. Then we'll just go from top to bottom at least otherwise. So IFBD, more from pre-market early this morning, ended up moving up early. It was trending down going into the 8 o'clock move, so I wasn't as keen to follow it going into the opening bell with that in mind. And, well, at least here you could see ended up making a really nice pop for early to mid-afternoon. Ended up bouncing off of like 180, broke out from there, ran up about 50 cents from that point. So is it possible this can make another run here heading into the afternoon? I don't like the dump off. It already made it down to like 190-ish, 195. Needs to flip 2 back into support. Needs to move back above the VWAP price at 211. So really this dump off from like 2 p.m. Eastern onward is not as good at this stage here. Markets are pushing new highs. I want to see if there's anything that's just moving with the market, or again, like we always talk about here at this time of the day during the afternoon meeting, a stock at the highs or a stock at the lows taking us into the close. So, AUUD here, more of an early afternoon pop. The other one was like more mid-afternoon. This was early afternoon, right after 12 p.m. Ended up breaking out higher. Cheapy stock. I think that Rich had called this one out at the time, breaking over $1 likely, and made a phenomenal move. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't get my hands in on this trade. Very liquid, which I do like. Tight spread, good filled in volume out there on the bid and the ask. It's not really like at the highs per se, but it's already made such a big move up. It hasn't completely tanked, that's for sure. You know what? I'll add this to our list. The main one here, AUUD. I'll come back to this at the end even, but for right now, it just makes the cut. See if this can make the re-break over 150 sooner than later. And hey, if it's not sooner than later, then at that point, your window of opportunity definitely thins. It closes in a lot, but otherwise, just hey, at 3:30 in the afternoon. Then if it's not sooner, then it's later. All right, then at 3:30 Eastern, going into the market closing bell. If it were to break over that 150 level, then that could be a really sharp trade to think about. But you're working on thin time there. All right, so we'll even come back to this just at the end of it all. Makes the list at least for right now. We have a few stocks just at the highs otherwise that are moving with the market. Of course, we were talking about CCL from earlier today too. Actually, before we officially go from top to bottom, I'd be remiss to not at least mention CCL, Carnival Cruise Lines. This stock I just got out of with a small loss just before, like it was very tiny, like -2. But right from 1480, I was looking for the slingshot, and I mean, hey, it might be now coming up. So, I don't mind just re-adding this to our main list, like the other one. We'd rather see it much closer to the highs right now, but it hasn't dumped off yet. It's just kind of holding here. So perhaps that provides a little optimism, a little hope to see this make that run higher into the close. And I got to stop flapping my gums here, because if it holds 1480 here, then it'll make the move that I was looking for originally. So yeah, I mean, right now we'll put this on our list to see if there's one more squeeze left. If it ends up holding this 1480 as resistance though from this point, then there's no trade. So I'm not interested in this whatsoever, unless if it could break back above 1480. All right. So with that said, let's go from top to bottom here. Otherwise, AUUD on our list, ASST here, assist. Oh yeah, this was the pre-market one. There's so many different trades from today. Just lose sight of them at least every now and then. So assist, ASST, asset entities ended up making a huge pop in pre-market. And as we know, in pre-market, typically, unless if it's halted off of news or the exchange is halted, it doesn't get halted off a circuit breaker or off of volatility. So this made a huge run up in a very short amount of time. Well, for as much as it pumped, it ended up obviously dumping off, but you would expect to at least see the profit taking upon the market opening up. I mean, this happened here way early in pre-market for this IFBD trade, right? This was up big and pre-early, popped. Of course, the more it goes up, you're less likely to think it's going to continue. So eventually it's going to see lower highs and then big shake back down. You don't want to be on the wrong side of that. So, all right. KDNY is a buyout right here, right? Yeah. All right. So we'll move on from that. ZJYL. Those are 4 letters that I just feel as a trader, I don't know. Those letters don't mix well together. This is like pop and drop stock, like number 1 here, it seems like. It's a new IPO, I reckon. But any wacky ticker like that, regardless where it's from, whatever it does, doesn't just, you don't really have much faith in it. And then it's trading like very thin volume on the book, like a 40, 50 cent spread. So we'll definitely pass on that here for right now. All right, HI, same deal. It goes up, comes back down. This was back from Friday. So we were hopeful to see this make another push once again here today, and it did. But volume peaked pretty early. This one died off pretty quickly too. So nice little squeeze back up right now. Don't get me wrong, but more of a second win type of move, I'd say there. I wouldn't be fully committed to that trade. And honestly, I didn't really mean to click on this either. SFR, cheapy type of stock here. So I honestly didn't even mean to click on this 46 or so cents, but pretty nice pop that we're running into here live. Because that's pretty well timed, I reckon. But let's see what else we got here across the gainers list, though, for right now. Maybe I'll come back to this AHI, if anything, but I'm not fully confident of this move just being real just yet. More of like a second win sparkler type of move. All right, then everything else, SoFi, shouldn't speak about everything else just yet. SoFi is not looking half bad. This is right at the highs. It's a little slow, but, chugging along, making a really good push. So definitely going to focus on a stock like SoFi. If it ends up making a stronger pop coming up here, then I'd love to see it. With that said, it's moved up so much already back from the end of May into this month. So, obviously if it fails to make that big pop here today, or maybe even going into tomorrow, heading into CPI report or FOMC meeting or for Wednesday this week concluding, hey, be careful of a big shake back down for a stock that's very extended like this. You can say is, from 5 or 4 up to 913, as a swing trade, that's a really strong move in a very short amount of time. So just be careful this week if you got, bad results just on the FOMC or the CPI report, big drop in the market. Stocks like this would be the first to go, in my opinion. Stocks that have already made such big runs, that are very extended from the last 2 weeks. So if SoFi is moving, I will take a look as a day trade at least towards a stock like Upstart, a stock like Affirm. And not looking as strong today at least, but those are also ones, the lending companies that have made big pushes back from the end of May into this month. So, all right, so let's see what else we got here. Otherwise, Carvana, CCL, SoFi, 3 very well-known stocks on our list already. And you got the other one, the AUUD. Let's see what else we got here on the losers list. Got a bunch of crap hard to borrow. Bunch of tickers with 4 letters that don't really look too good mixed together here, like CYXT. I know it's cheap, obviously, but regardless of that, All right, what else we got here otherwise on the losers list? Not really much is down today, right, with the market all the way up. So I would really keep an eye on the SPY at 432 as a key level to work off of going into this week. You could also say 435, just every $5 typically should be a strong price on the SPY. So 432-ish to 435 roughly should be a strong range of resistance to work with heading into this week. So even right now, just kind of topped off pretty much there just recently. NASDAQ took a big drop today, but that was because they ended up purchasing, a larger company, rather large transaction. Don't have the news in front of me, but typically when a company does layoffs, you'll tend to see them shoot up a little bit because they're relieving a huge expense. Well, here they are expending a lot of money for an acquisition, and with that, led to a bit of a drop early today. But I wouldn't really take that as like a bearish signal or anything. Just more of a nice little day trade on the way down. Good short is day trade. All right, so folks, let me know if there's anything else looking good up or down here. I've had my eye on CCL the whole time, and it has not broken back above 1480 since we left off with it. So I did not jump in. And with that, and we're going to keep it on our list. Hopefully this makes a nice slingshot back over 1480. But if not, then there really isn't a trade to work with. So now at this point, I'll probably just kind of put it towards the bottom of our main list. Carvana, SoFi, AUUD, just, still looking good for right now. There's SoFi. There's Carvana, nice pop up over 21, topping off at 21.50 roughly. And now we got a C support hold here. So that's still in play. And then the AUUD. So this, kind of dumped off, right? Where was this at when we left off with this trade? It was at basically 125, 127-ish here. And dropped off a little bit more. It's more of an afternoon move, if anything. Doesn't hurt us to keep this on our list, but it seems like a lot of things are pulling back for right now. Got to see support to begin to hold here now. All right. So with that, folks, just for all of us inside the live trading room, let me know if there's anything else up or down that I'm missing here, and then we'll wrap up. Ron saying AAL at 16. American Airlines. Slow. Pass on that there, Ron. From Elizabeth here saying SFR is cheap but running. It is. We talked about that before, but I'm not really as inclined to follow a 44-cent stock. If you're going to give me a cheap stock to work with, let it be a little bit closer to that dollar threshold, just like the other one did, right? The AUUD, that came out of nowhere, but the closer it gets to $1, I get more interested. But even at that, Carvana, SoFi, and then CCL, if that can get back over 1480, those are much better plays for me right now heading into this afternoon. All right, then we'll wrap up here, folks, just really quickly. Let me just check Benzinga Pro, and I'll just about do. AUD, CYTH, not much really popping up here that I missed. So yep, I'll just about do it, folks. Hey, no need to force anything out there. We got the CPI report out tomorrow morning, I believe, and then otherwise the FOMC to wrap up on Wednesday. Should be some hesitation within the market. Hesitation doesn't mean just complete flat. Given SPY is trading $430 per share, you're going to see a little trend up or down regardless of pre-FOMC meeting or not. So I'd love to see the trend up right now heading into this afternoon. And hopefully with that, a couple of good trades to work with here. Let's start with these four. Chuck saying, lastly, Neo is trying. Might be wishful thinking, Chuck. If Chuck's in this from 8:30, I'm sure it's trying for Chuck. But, right now, it's up a little bit. I'm not buying it. I get teased that Neo is one of my favorites. It used to be. So I missed out on the trade from the morning. Nice little push. I'll keep it in mind for tomorrow. Side list. But right now, though, it doesn't seem to be making that push upwards towards 850 now in the next 20 minutes as Rich jumps on the mic. If none of the four stocks that we're going to start with are looking good and this is starting to make a push, then I'm sure Rich will call it out. How about that? All right. But with that, folks, you got to move on, right? You got to find different stocks out there that are providing you good opportunities. If I stuck on Neo this whole time, I wouldn't have done well on anything over the last month or two. AI, Palantir, all of the different AI stocks all together. Carvana from Thursday we smashed. So with that, folks, again, just you can't fall in love with the trade. You got to learn to move on. But hey, hopefully this makes a nice pop. If this ends up making a pop by 315-ish, then perhaps I think about it. But otherwise, I'm going to start with SoFi and the CVNA in particular. All right, folks. But hey, best of luck trading going into the market close. Traders Talk is tomorrow, our weekly workshop conducted inside our live trading room. Just for all of our students here, Josh at ctutrading.com is the email. I always like to post that on the social streams there at the end. So I'll look to do that coming up. But just join us tomorrow exclusively inside our live trading room for our weekly workshop Traders Talk. Any questions or trades you want to go over with us, make sure to send over to my email address. josh@c2trading.com is the email. All right, folks. But again, best of luck trading going into the market close. Talk to everybody here come tomorrow morning.